Welcome, everyone. I'm Paula Bartholomew and delighted that you've tuned in for Hawthorn University's All About Alumni. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing our graduate, Kyra Bramble, and you'll also have the opportunity to ask her questions directly. So hello, Kyra, and welcome.
Hi, Paula. Thank you so much for having me on.
You bet. I'm really excited to be here together. And it's my pleasure to introduce you and your presentation, too.
Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be introduced by you. I've listened to your voice so much. Now I get to be on with you.
All right. Here it is a little bit more. So Kyra's presentation is Conscious Playful Food, a holistic approach to cooking professionally. Kyra is a self-professed health food ninja. She built and grew a private chef and on-site catering business centering around special needs diets, the raw, a vegan, a gluten-free, paleo, traditional, whole range of diets. And now she travels the world cooking for retreats, leading workshops, and continuing her education. And Kyra credits her Hawthorn education as giving her an edge to other chefs and caterers and allows her to compete and thrive in a niche market. How wonderful for you. Let's hear more, Kyra. I want to.
What do you want to hear?
Well, it seems to me that you sure move around a lot. So let's start with where are you now?
Well, I'm actually in the middle of catering an incredible retreat for an incredible organization called Project Koru. Project Koru offers free surf camp to young adult cancer survivors to help them mentally and physically rehabilitate and find life after cancer. And so I'm staying on site next to the ocean on Maui, where I live right now, and I'm cooking 3 meals a day for 22 people and be able to get away to come and talk to you because everybody's out outrigger canoeing right now. I work with local farmers and local small businesses to secure donations and then kind of play with the menu a little bit after I figure out what I'm getting. Right now I have about, I don't even know, like 15 pounds of kale I need to figure out what to do with. So they're eating a lot of kale. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now.
And is there any specific foods that you're sourcing that are directly targeting the anti-carcinogenic effects for these people?
Oh, I love that you're asking that. So all the vegetables, of course, are going to be anti-carcinogenic and good for healing foods anyways. But specifically, turmeric grows a lot on islands, and I usually bring in a bunch of turmeric, and it opens up dialogue for talking about its both anti-carcinogenic and anti-inflammatory effects. Noni, I don't actually source noni. It's a little bit too funky. It's a really funky tropical fruit that is renowned for its health benefits. You'll usually see it in juice form in health food stores around the country. But it opens up dialogue about it. Even if people aren't eating all of these things, they're just thinking outside the box. They're sleeping outdoors or in these half-open tentelos. They're out in the ocean every single day, and they're coming from all walks of life. And just being in nature like that helps open their minds to different methods of healing and incorporating different forms of health into their lives.
No, I think Project Koru is really is a remarkable organization. I mean, you're working with young cancer survivors, and so here they get, I mean, what's this week about? They get to surf and hike and explore Maui, right? And work with you.
Yeah, exactly all of those things. It's really, it's partially health and physically oriented, but it's also emotional. It's allowing them to be in close proximity to other individuals that have gone through similar experiences to them. It's very, very pro body image. Different things happen with different surgeries and chemo and steroids and all the things these people go through. And so a lot of the time they're able to be in a bathing suit in public for the first time and possibly even years, and then around other people that have gone through similar things. So it's a holistic approach. It's a holistic approach to life after cancer. It's not just focusing on mental. It's not just focusing on the physical. It's not just focusing on the spiritual. It's everything all together, and the transformation that I'm able to witness working with this camp is absolutely incredible.
I bet it's really powerful for you. Well, you said you're working for pleasure and education and work and moving around here. Where else has your work taken you, and where else are you going?
Well, let's go ahead and move over to the next slide if you don't mind. Well, Less than a week ago, I was in California, Northern California, where I grew up. I'm close to you, Paula, actually. I'm sorry we didn't get to meet. 2 months ago, I was in Thailand at a meditation retreat in Chiang Mai. So it was 3 months ago. 2 months ago, I was in Colorado cooking at this incredible place called Sunrise Ranch, which is an intentional community and retreat center. It's an on-site farm. I was cooking for 200 people a day, and half of the food was supplied from the farm. We had just boxes of produce coming in. They have cows and pigs and chickens that are slaughtered and processed sustainably, consciously, right there on site. So
Amazing.
we always hear about this, this farm to table movement, but to get to actually go and stay and work on a farm like that was incredible. I think my co-chef called it a functioning conscious community. And if you're familiar with the woo-woo and conscious community scene, then it says a lot that they are.
It's like the highest standard, right? Yes.
It is very high standard. And then last month, I was in Nevada cooking for a classical music camp at Burning Man Festival, which is a giant arts and cultural festival in the middle of the desert with dust storms. It was up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything is brought in and cooked there, and built up from nothing. So that was definitely a wonderful, intense experience. In 2 weeks, I'm in Palm Springs cooking for a high-end women's empowerment retreat. And then next month, I'm enrolled in Ayurvedic chef training on Kauai. So lots going on. I'm going to jump over to my slide really fast.
Because that is a lot of travel. That is a lot of travel, Kyra.
That is a lot of travel. I know. It's all at once right now. I'll get more into my past and into what I want to do with it later. But right now, it's just that's the life, and I'm living it fully. So just really fast, this picture was taken about a week ago, right when I got back to Maui, and this is me on a banana farm being gifted some racks of bananas. It was really important to me to get bananas in their natural form as donations. From being able to connect the food that we put in our mouths with food as it grows naturally is huge in what I try to do. I spent a lot of time in my past teaching cooking classes to children. And that was one thing that I always tried to drive into their heads is, where did this pineapple come from? Where did this apple come from? Where did this chicken nugget come from? And actually make the connection from earth to processing and then to what we put into our mouth. And so most people have never seen bananas growing in their natural form on these giant racks. And so I thought that was really cool to be able to have those and take them to camp and just hang them from the trees and let people grab fresh bananas whenever they'd like.
Yeah. Amazing, yes. You just don't get experiences like that unless that's where you live and that's what your life is.
Yep, I'm very blessed. So let's go ahead and I'll bop over to the next slide. I think I have some more travel photos as well that I can talk about really quickly.
All right, James, there you go.
Great. So this one on the left, that is some fresh taco fillings from a little roadside stand in Tepoztlán in Mexico, where I was 2 weeks ago, I think, for a friend's wedding. And then over on the right on the top, that's one of the dishes I made at Burning Man. That's some wonton soup with pork that I sourced from Sunrise Ranch. There's some shiitake mushrooms and cilantro and green onions and a poached egg. Just showing how I can make healthy, fun, playful food at a crazy place like Burning Man. And then the one below is going to be my newest blog. I haven't released it yet, but it's portobello mushroom poke. Poke is a traditional Hawaiian marinated fish dish. And so a lot of my clients are vegan and vegetarian, and so I wanted to create something that was just as delicious, but vegan. And there it is. So I think that each one of these dishes sort of represents how I'm inspired by the different cultures that I visit and how I'm able to represent it so it's so anybody can enjoy it. So of course I didn't make the one on the left, but that was just me getting inspired. We have napolés, which are cactus, is that green dish, and there's some chorizo, there's fresh squash blossoms, there's mushrooms, there's what's called huitlacoche, which is a special fungus that grows on top of corn and only comes out about like a month or two out of the year. And we don't have food like this in America. We really don't. In Mexico, they take it for granted. You walk down the street and you go and you see your little grandma, your little abuela on the corner, and you pick out this fresh food and they put it inside of a fresh tortilla that they just made, and then you eat it. And I may not be able to do that for all of my clients all the time, but I can take that idea and that energy and these really beautiful, vibrant flavors and then try to share them and inspire people.
Well, it's beautiful work, it's beautiful food, and the education that surrounds it is just brilliant. But still, it's a lot of travel, and I'm wondering how you maintain your own sense of balance in doing this.
Oh, goodness. You know, you're absolutely right. It is a lot of travel, and it seems very glamorous, but truly it is really exhausting. At this stage in my life, I've chosen to travel and explore because I know that I do want to settle down and have children and have a brick and mortar business, but I'm not there right now. Mm-hmm. And I want to soak up all of the culture and all of the knowledge and just live my life fully, because I see my life as a whole holistically. And there's a time, there's a time for rest, and there's a time for movement. There's a time for warming foods. There's a time for cooling foods, time for anabolic, and a time for catabolic. And right now, this is just a little bit of travel time. Mm-hmm.
Well, it seems like it gives you a lot. It must give you a lot of networking opportunities, and just really expose you to people and ingredients and cultures, and it just must be supportive also.
Absolutely. As far as for personal development, you're right. I love that you mentioned new cultures. It definitely makes me challenge my own beliefs and keeps me in a place of wonder and gratitude, which is always a good place to be in work, right, and in life. And from a business standpoint, so many networking opportunities. The people that I meet while I'm traveling, I never know where else in the world I'll pop up again. It exposes me to new ingredients, as I was speaking of, new methods of preparation, new health practices, new health beliefs. And let's be honest, it's really good for my Instagram account.
I bet it is.
Truly, my biggest challenge with all the travel is maintaining my meditation and yoga practices. I feel like I'm really solid with maintaining my personal health. I have my supplement regimen down. I have my personal care regimen down. But trying to carve out any sort of schedule where I have room for my yoga and meditation has been my biggest challenge. So you said it's not all glamour.
I would say, for me, it would be a challenge for me just to stay grounded with all the moving and resettling every time. But you're handling it brilliantly.
Thank you so much. The food helps. Food is a very grounding thing. Thank goodness. And we can talk over to that next slide whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, good. Let's look at a little bit about, talk a little bit more about your work as a chef.
Sure. So I didn't always necessarily want to be a chef. And when you think of chef, you think of this big guy in a restaurant, right? And that was never me. I call myself a plant-based private chef and on-site caterer. Yoga retreats and spiritual gatherings are generally the clients that I work with. Being with clients on a long-term basis, either as private clients or else in many hours in a short-term basis. Like this week, it's 16 hours a day, 7 days for 7 days. And so I really get to know the people that I'm cooking for during that time. And whether it's the organizers, I'm helping them convey whatever they want to whatever the message of the retreat or organization is, I can convey that with the food. I get to know the participants and really get to talk to them about what I'm preparing for them and learn about their bodies and give them little suggestions. I mean, I've already gotten half of the camp trying to chew 20 bites before they go out. A couple of them complained to me about stomach issues. And if I was in a restaurant, I wouldn't be able to have that kind of personal interaction with the people that I was cooking for. And food to me is just so personal. Let's see. So I do specialize in raw vegan, gluten-free, and paleo styles of food. I kind of generally call myself plant-based because I do definitely advocate a plant-based diet. But for me, that means primarily eating plant-based plant foods, not necessarily 100%. I have some clients that are on the bone broth diet. I've had clients that are not able to eat any fat. I've had clients that are not able to, trying to think of some other random examples. They just have very distinct caloric distributions they need to adhere to, or their doctor tells them that they have to eat this way and they have no idea how to prepare it for themselves. And that's sort of where I come in. I come in and I create these still very fun and nurturing meals that are able to still satisfy whatever the caloric distribution or special diets are. And so sometimes, honestly, it's trendy diets. Whatever the newest one is, somebody wants somebody to cook it for them. They don't know how to cook it for themselves. And sometimes it's incredibly therapeutic food. So every client's a little bit different, and that's what Hawthorn has helped me with. Let's see, what else do I do? Sometimes I do weddings and private dinners. I'm doing a 16-person vegan elopement ceremony coming up next week as soon as I get done cooking for the cancer survivors.
That's an oxymoron. Sorry, that's an oxymoron.
What is it?
An elopement.
No, they're calling it an elopement ceremony. That's not my place to question them. I just say, okay. I'm catering a very small wedding that is not actually a elopement ceremony. Let's just call it a small intimate gathering celebrating the union. And then another couple just emailed me and wanted asking about having a raw food spread in Big Sur for their also planned elopement ceremony. But that's okay.
I guess that has you changing your menus all the time.
So yeah, I have to be very dynamic, and I love that about it. I think I would get so bored just cooking the same thing all the time. And sometimes I try to cook the same thing, and I see different ingredients at the farmer's market, or somebody has a special request, or even in Maui there's fruit growing everywhere, and somebody will come home with a couple papayas and they're not quite ripe, and they're like, "Oh, we brought these for you." And I'm like, "Okay, great, let's make green papaya salad. Let's come in and help me," and I'll just somehow incorporate that onto the menu. There has to be, that's why my business, the tagline is conscious, playful food, is because I feel like there has to be a sense of wonder and play mixed in with all of this. That's how you inspire people. When people are inspired by their food, they respect it. And when you respect your food, you respect what goes into your body, you have this other sense of awareness about it. And when you have an awareness of your food and of your body, then you can tell what's good and what isn't. So much of the standard American diet, and I feel like a lot of the health issues that we're seeing now in our country, is just from people not caring about their food, not caring about their body. It's just default. Whatever's in front of you, you just shove in your mouth. You don't notice when you're full. You just notice when you're hungry. And half the time your body isn't really hungry. It's just your mind, because it's habit. And if we can untrain ourselves and get back to a place where we really see food as nourishment and a celebration and something to be respected, I think that'll carry a lot farther than worrying about how much fat or calories we're eating. So that's where I come in.
No, well said. And I think that you're well positioned. You're just poised really nicely, given where you grew up and where you're living now, and your travels throughout the world. It just really allows you to provide a different kind of meal profile and insights around food to your clients.
Thank you so much for saying that. So let's pop over to that other slide whenever you have a second. Sorry, I keep on saying bop. I never say bop. I don't know what this new word is, but
bop on over. Okay, we'll bop today.
Bop on over.
Well, here you are again. Just beautiful photos. Did you always want to be a chef? Have you been doing this all the time?
Well, not necessarily. I always loved food, but honestly, it was more of the hospitality aspect that brought me into chef work. I enjoyed bringing people together, and as I was saying before, just inspiring people to love their food. It wasn't until I went to Italy when I was 18 and saw how Italians treated food that I was like, oh wow, they all actually know where their food comes from. They go to the markets. Everybody sits down together, and every single meal is this whole production. And even if it's casual, it's still a casual production. Every single person sits around the table. Everybody eats together. Everybody laughs. Everybody talks. Everybody eats each other in their eye. It's not a rush. It's just pure being. So I went to culinary school, California Culinary Academy, Lake Cordon Bleu in 2006. And then after that, the thought of working in a restaurant in the back of house was just made me kind of feel yucky. There's very underpaid. There's usually no windows, very little ventilation. Everything's really loud. Everything's really rushed. There's no consciousness put into the food. It kind of feels like an assembly line. So I always worked in front of house, or I was able to actually interact with the people that were consuming the food, even if I wasn't making it. And then I started, I went through a quarter life crisis when I was 25. I decided I didn't want to waitress anymore, but I still wanted to be involved with people. And I started volunteering to teach healthy cooking classes, both for families and low-income teens and young children. And then I realized that it was silly to just cook food for people when what I could be doing was teaching them how to cook for themselves. And that was the link right there. It was wanting to figure out how to interact socially and inspire the people that I was cooking for, and hopefully teach them how to do it themselves. And then from there, I was asked to cook for a yoga retreat. I went out camping in Joshua Tree National Park in Southern California for a week and cooked for 26 yogis, and then also in the desert on camping equipment. And it was one of the most challenging things that I ever did. The winds would blow and they would blow out my stove. I burnt so much brown rice because you couldn't have it on low. It would blow out. If you had it on high, it would burn. I cursed brown rice, but everything else somehow I got to work. And then I was like, oh wow, I could cook for a yoga retreat. This is the coolest job in the world. What if I just made up this job where I traveled the world and cooked for yoga retreats? And it took a few years, but I'm proud to say that I'm finally doing that. Over on the slide, that's a picture of me cooking for a yoga retreat. The specific one was more of an Ayurvedic, Indian style meal. On the bottom, those are collard wraps, and inside is a cultured macadamia nut cheese mixed with, I believe, some summer squash. And then on the top, those are a trio of different krauts that I made, all raw krauts. One's a little bit more of a kimchi flavor, but it's vegan. One's with turmeric, and then one's and a little bit more classic with dill and mustard seeds.
Beautiful.
So, yeah,
well,
thank you.
What brought you back to Maui?
That's a good question. I was living in San Francisco when I started teaching cooking classes and first discovered that I wanted to be a yoga chef. And then I was brought to Maui on a whim by a friend who was throwing a yoga retreat out here, and he needed a chef at the last minute. And I fell in love with the island. I think part of being a holistic practitioner is just feeling our body. I want to do the same thing that I preach to others to do. And I swear, I walked off the plane, and the tropical air just felt so nourishing. I felt like I was home. My body was happy. I could feel all my muscles relaxed. The food was just lighter and fresher and abundant and growing everywhere. People were just happy and nice, a little bit slow paced. And I just remember looking at all of these happy, beautiful, flowing people, and I was like, what if I was one of them? And a year later, I moved here, and it's been almost 3 years, and I absolutely love it. Maui allowed me to live the holistic lifestyle I preached about. I got my yoga teacher certification, and I also teach yoga here when I'm on island. Last few months have been a lot of traveling. Before that, I was teaching regular classes. Maui allowed me to begin my daily meditation practice, which again is slightly suffering due to the travel, but that's okay, it'll come back. Then just all the fresh food and the way that the culture revolves around that fresh food. But how the topic of conversation frequently on people's lips when they see each other is talking about what's blooming in their yards, or this fish they just caught, or the dinner they just ate.
Good conversations to be had, right?
It is. Oh yeah, what's the next slide? I'm trying to remember if I had any Maui photos on this next one.
I don't know,
No,
but
that's right. I guess that.
is there anything else you want to say about Maui? Because this is an interesting segue, Maui to Hawthorn.
Oh, I think they're so related. Maui and Hawthorn both are about holistic mindset. They're about nourishing yourself and nourishing the planet, inspiring others to do the same. They are about working hard. Well, I don't know if Maui's about working hard. Maybe unless you're a surfer, you're me. Oh. I think that's all about Maui. Maui's interesting because most people do come here just to relax, and I relax a lot while I'm here, but it also gave me the space to concentrate on my health and on my education. I started my Hawthorn studies a few months before I moved to Maui, and so my first year and a half on Maui, I would take my books and read them in my hammock on the beach, and I would sit at open air cafes underneath a noni tree and work on my papers. And I really do feel like being in this outdoor setting surrounded by beautiful food and being able to cook it during the day gave me extra insight into what I was learning during my studies at Hawthorn.
Sounds like a lovely combination.
It's a wonderful combination. And I started Hawthorn because I really wanted to understand food on a micro level. In my years working front of house and back of house in restaurants, you sort of learn which flavors naturally go together and what people crave during different points in their life, whether it's warming or cooling, or, they're pregnant, or to real San Francisco, maybe they're hungover, or this or that. You need different foods to satisfy different needs. But I didn't really understand all of this on a scientific level, and I wanted to deepen my understanding of food. So I wasn't just making it for comfort or for beauty, but I really was making it for health.
That's a big difference.
Big difference. And also, as I got more into the yoga and spiritual scene, I cook for a lot of raw foodists and vegans, and I see a lot of misleading information floating around the internet. There's a lot of propaganda, both from the meat industry and from the vegan and from the vegans. Sure. I think that I don't want to be dogmatic in my education and to my clients. I believe that all of these different styles of eating have a purpose and a place, and it's just really important to understand them and to be able to filter through all the fraudulent information and really know, what's peer reviewed, what's time tested. If people have been doing this for thousands of years, who is funding this study? Is this even actual study, or is this just a meme that somebody's floating around? And I wanted to retrain my brain to see nutrition from this point of view, instead of just taking the easy way out. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. Nobody should ever eat this again. And you're like, wait a second, actually, let's look at this. Maybe just don't eat it every single day, 3 meals a day, and you'll be fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just really, if I'm going to be cooking vegan, raw, paleo, all of these different sorts of diets, then I want to understand them. I want to know why my clients want them. I want to be able to converse intelligently about them. I want to be able to recommend different supplements to go along with these diets to make sure that they're getting adequate, well-rounded nutrition. I want to know what the signs are if they're not getting certain constituents in their diets. I want to know about food pairing and how one food can aid the other absorb. Sometimes it's not, as we all know, sometimes it's not enough just to take just to be ingesting nutrients, which make sure they're getting absorbed, right? Or else there's no point. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons I got from Hawthorn. Right there, lesson one, it just blew my mind. If I got nothing else from Hawthorn that I can pass on to people, it's chew your food, love your food. And it doesn't matter how much nutrients you're eating if your body isn't absorbing them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good.
So just as a really quick wrap up for that, Hawthorn was a clear choice for me. I researched all of the different online schools I looked at, knowing that with my schedule and all my dreams that I was not going to be able to commit to a traditional school. And I'm very, very happy with my education there, with all the instructors that I've worked with, and also the continuing education that you offer, and the community that you continue to support, just for inviting me to be here right now. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. You came to Hawthorn, it has a non-dogmatic approach, and it really suits you, offering a non-dogmatic approach in your dietary offerings and your educational offerings to your clients. It's just so important to be able to bypass that dogma and share science-based, peer-reviewed information and clinically validated resources that are supportive and help people just embrace it and learn how to work with it in their own lives. And so I think having you as the educator and the preparer of the foods initially might just really set them up well to be able to do it on their own. And that's the goal, right? That they don't always have to follow you from retreat to retreat, but they're actually capable of taking better care of themselves because of meeting you.
I sure hope so. I've always been one of those people that wants to just to teach and to inspire. I don't want my recipes just be some secret thing that I hoard. I want to share them, and then I want people to take them, be inspired by them, and change them and make them their own. We're all different, and that should be celebrated.
Yeah, I agree so much. Well, I think that you're demonstrating a lot of success in your business and your business plan and how it's unfolding. And so I just wonder if you can talk a little bit about what skills that you have acquired that credit this success to.
Yeah, of course. I'll say it again. Let's bop over to the next slide while I talk about this.
Beautiful.
Ooh, okay. That was a raw food brunch that I made for some clients. There's a lot of stuff to get into. Okay, so the top left is a Mediterranean platter. Those are some raw zucchini flax crackers, raw almond sunflower falafel balls. We have some hemp seed pesto, some marinated onions, cultured macadamia nut cheese, a little, and then 2 different kinds of chutneys. There's a raw pad thai with a raw spring roll on the top right, and then underneath is a raw cashew mint and chocolate cake. So I guess presentation, and will be one thing I credit myself with for success. And that sort of goes into hospitality experience. A lot of chefs are just trained in back of house, and they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to make things just feel nice. And my hospitality really comes from a genuine desire to nourish people and to bring them joy. And I'm a really good cook. I know this, but I wouldn't call myself a great chef. What I am really good at is taking care of people and using new ingredients that really caters to what they want, not just what I want to prepare for them. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So give that. Tenacity is another thing I will say was absolutely essential for business success. When I decided to start doing this work, it took a little bit. It was a lot of trying to market myself, trying to struggle, dealing with a lot of flaky clients because I didn't have anybody else that wanted to hire me yet. It's sometimes I felt like I was a failure and I didn't know what to do except for to keep on going, because as soon as I did start to feel like I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I felt like giving up, but then I would just get that one client that would just give me this sweet, beautiful letter, a little gift, and say, wow, you know, you changed my day, you changed my life, you inspired me. And that was what would keep me going. And I am so happy I did, because I'm so grateful and proud of where I am now. Just going back to imaging, marketing and social media definitely helps. My old partner in San Francisco was designer, brand strategist, and web artist, and I learned so much from him about creating and maintaining a brand. I taught myself web design, graphic design. I do all my own social media and design work, including web promotional materials and everything. I would like to outsource some of this at some point, but as it is now, it's pretty much me doing everything. And if you want to have an online-based business, then you have to have an online presence that's marketable. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's holistic or not, but it's it's the way that it is.
It's business. It's
business. Let's go ahead and go over to that next slide. Then you talked about non dogmatism. I think I did as well, and I really do credit myself with that. I feel like in the healthcare industries and spiritual industries, there's so much dogmatism, there's so much judgment, and I really one of the reasons I want to continue learning is a lot of the services I offer almost contradict each other. You know, Ayurvedic cooking contradicts the raw food philosophy, which you know, veganism of course contradicts bone broth. But I do believe that each one of these has its own, has something to offer, and nothing should be judged. And so I want to educate myself about all of these different unique diets and ways of life. So I have something to offer, and I never want to offer judgment. I only want to offer inspiration. True love for what I do is very important when you're working with any sort of healthcare, spiritual practices, or food. If you don't love what you're doing, it shows. People know. You know when you get a massage from someone who isn't really present, or you know, you go to a restaurant or this beautiful, beautiful meal and the server just kind of slams it down. You feel that. You absolutely feel that. And so of course, when I'm on site for a full week working with people, if I'm in a bad mood, it shows. It shows through my food, it shows through my interactions. And I just always need to come back to a place of being centered and giving love and gratitude. And then my last thing I just stuck up here is success is holistic. It's not just about money. Yes, this is a business. Yes, you should charge what you're worth. Yes, you should embrace money and not be afraid of it. But at the same time, it really isn't just about money. At the end of the day, how is your health? At the end of the day, do you have enough time to spend with your family? Do you have time for travel? Do you have enough time for yoga or arts or singing or dancing, friends and family, whatever it is? Sometimes it's better to make a little bit of less money, but have more time for yourself and have your work support what you truly, truly love. So that's what I keep on telling myself. Even before I was actually making the sort of money that I am able to now, is that ultimately I'm doing what I want to be doing. I'm still living on Maui. I'm still teaching yoga. I still get to see the ocean every single day. And I'm still learning about what I love. And
well, I think Maui certainly supports the love flowing.
It does. It absolutely does.
Well, your love of food really shows. It comes through. Absolutely.
Thank you. What's our next slide? I know we're getting a little bit short on time now.
We're good. We're good on time. We're all right. It's
okay, perfect.
I think kind of your philosophy around food is love for food in all its forms. It's like learning about it, cooking about it, turning people on to it. It's just really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, this slide over here is a workshop that I led for a women's empowerment seminar a few years ago, and that's my first raw vegan chocolate cake. Those are the beautiful ladies eating it. And I'm making avocado chocolate mousse in the picture, in the photo on the left, which is incredible. That recipe's on my blog, by the way. And So workshops are something I would like to do more of. I love traveling, as you know. It's just nice to travel, just do one workshop instead of cooking for an entire week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on some other projects at the same time. I have a few small ebooks about to launch, one on fermentation. I have a guide to eating healthy, to redoing your diet and eating fully whole foods in 2 weeks that I have online as well. I'm working on a raw cheesecake cookbook and 1 or 2 others that are surprises.
Well, let's look at your next slide here while you're talking about what's coming up.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. What do I have for the future?
Slide.
Yep, ebooks, printed cookbooks is definitely on the list. I don't really have time to focus on that fully right now, but it's there. It'll be coming at some point. I'm still loving travel. I want to cook more. I want to explore more. I never want to stop learning. I'm also working on creating a referral network and coaching programs for other chefs that want to do similar work as me. I recognize that this is a really niche market, and it took a little bit to break in, but now that I'm here, I love it. And I get so many requests from young up-and-coming chefs wanting to know if they can work with me or if I have any advice for them. And I'd really like to harness that and figure out a way to empower them to help empower others. So if you would like to get in touch, please shoot me over an email and I'll keep you up to date on that.
You know what could emerge from that, Kyra, is a brilliant collaboration that could yield a cookbook. Somebody helping you,
that is a really
learning from
that's
you.
a good idea.
Really, yeah, there you go.
You want to write a cookbook with me, Paula?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let's talk after the program. I think this could happen.
I do too.
And yeah, so those are the main things on the list right now. Is really figuring out a way to transfer into passive income and later on into residual income, because the traveling and exploring is all wonderful now, and I'm definitely not done with it. But I do know that at some point in the next 1 year, 5 years, I might want to settle down and have a little house and a garden and a little restaurant and just get to sit and meditate every day again for a whole hour.
There you go. Well, here's to the motto both of us have. I never want to stop learning. I love that. Let's. I'm going to give you an opportunity to close with, if you have any words of wisdom. You've shared a lot of wisdom here. It's like, what do you want to close with?
All right, I will look at our last. I think we have 2 more slides. Let's go to the next one. And what wisdom I have to share for anybody who would like to not make the same mistakes I did and be able to harness the same success that I have. Learn how to market yourself. Keep on learning. Learn. Your Hawthorn training puts you ahead of other schools because it teaches a combination of critical thinking, intuitive client-first counseling, and peer-reviewed time-testing science. All of these things are necessary working in holistic health. Mm-hmm. Next thing is, it's easy to get caught up in the business side of things when building a business. It's a business, right? When I do this, I really do feel like my work suffers and I feel overwhelmed, not holistic. So I nourish myself first and create meals and marketing materials from a place of gratitude and love. It absolutely shows. And then passion is power. If you are truly passionate about your work, you will inspire others to be passionate in return. Over on this last slide, these are just a few of the retreats and projects I'm working on right now. I'm throwing my first retreat, which is all 1 week of raw gourmet food cooking classes and me catering, and aerial yoga classes and sound healing here on Maui in January. I teach classes here and there at this little grocery store here on Maui. My fermentation one-on-one workshop was amazing. And then I'm also cooking for a pole dance and dance empowerment, acro yoga, micro festival on Maui in November, right after Thanksgiving. So if you have information about any of those, please let me know as well. And I think that was a lot of amazing self-promotion and inspiration. if there's any questions from anybody.
I agree. No, I think that you just really demonstrated how Hawthorn's training has supported you, and the kind of education that we're providing and the kind of work that you're doing now and the success that you're having is just a really beautiful thing.
Thank you.
We do have a couple questions. Billy wanted to know what you miss the most when you travel.
Oh, that's a good question. Let's go over to the last slide first. I think we'll leave it with that one. What do I miss the most? Just stability and having a foundation. There's something to be said about waking up at the same time every day in the same bed and having, you know, making your cup of coffee or tea and having that little time to meditate. And getting to watch the seasons change in the same place. That's very, very grounding. And it's a balance, right? When you travel and you let some of that go, and when you're still for a long time, you miss out on a little bit of that adventure energy. Yeah, just for routine and stability and watching the seasons.
Get that. Yeah, I can really appreciate that. And well, Dennis wants to know if you've ever had any clients that just want a grilled T-bone steak.
That's a really good question. I absolutely will get those. First of all, I'm so afraid of cooking steaks. Give me raw nut cheeses or anything like that, and I'm fine. I'll bust it out. But steaks, I'm so afraid of cooking wrong. When I went to culinary school, I was a vegetarian, and so I really tried hard to not learn any of the meat stuff. It was like I had little blinders on it. It was very dogmatic.
You regret that now?
Yes, I do. I cook chicken and fish. Chicken and fish I'll absolutely do. Soups I'm fine with. Steaks are usually, especially for the private chef, I'd have to charge so much. I try to charge so much money for those dinners that I don't take on clients unless I know that I can do it up to the highest standard of what they're expecting. And so I find that honesty is the best policy. I'll say, you know what, that's not really what I offer. I'm happy to refer you to other chefs that can. I'm happy to make you, you know, we could do some grilled marlin, I could do some chicken saute, I could do this or this or this, and I offer them menus that I am comfortable working with.
That's good. Offer what you are comfortable with. And they might just be very inspired to try something new besides the same old T-bone. But I will say now that I'm more invested in paleo and autoimmune diet, that I've learned a lot about grilling steaks. And so let's meet up and I'll teach you, okay?
I would love that. You know what, there's amazing steak here on Maui. We have a ranch that has grass-fed beef. And I love it when my friends cook it for me, and I'll cook it for myself at home here and there. Maybe like once a month I'll have beef for myself, and the rest of the time I'm mostly plant-based. But it's different when people are paying you to do something. It's very, very different. Sure. And I guess that's another good lesson to put in, especially when you're doing health coaching, is don't just take on clients because you need clients. If you don't have the skills to actually help them, then you're doing them a disservice. And that's when you need to be honest, or take them on at a really either a pro bono or a heavily discounted rate. Be like, you know, I'm still learning. This isn't necessarily my area of expertise. I can take that extra time to do research, but I'd like to be completely transparent with you. And I find the transparency is always the best. There's that edge though too, where you want to challenge yourself to learn. And sorry, I'm getting all mumbled with the words right here. I'm getting so excited about food again.
Yeah, I hear it. I just, you know, I want to close with saying I just very much appreciate your high standards for your and that you're recognize the need to put yourself first, to nourish yourself deeply in order to be able to have consistent, steady fuel and resources to be able to offer your clientele. So thank you very much for your non-dogmatic approach, your holistic approach, your personal standards, the beauty. You bring such beauty and enthusiasm and grace to the world. This is a gorgeous presentation, Kyra, and I thank you so much for visiting us again at Hawthorn, and I hope that you'll continue to show up and share your good works and invite me to Maui anytime.
Thank you so much, Paula. You were invited to Maui to cook steak and co-write my cookbook with me.
Very good. All right. We'll set the date.
It was an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you again so much, and thank you everybody for showing up and listening to this wonderful presentation, and I hope you've been inspired by it.